Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. Hayya ala salah. Allahu Akbar.
Arise, giving all praises to Allah, the Father of the universe, cherisher and sustainer of all the balanced universes. I extend the highest of honors to His Holy Divine Prophet, Prophet Noble Drew Ali, the founder of the Moorish Science Temple of America. Islam? I extend high honors to his forerunner, Honorable Marcus Mosiah Garvey, the founder of the Universal Negro Improvement Association, who did indeed warn and stir up the nations. Islam? I extend high honors to the Moorish flag, the red flag with the 5-pointed green star in the center. These 5 points represent love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. These are the 5 highest principles known to man. Islam, Moors? Extending honors to the American flag, also known as the Stars and Stripes. This flag exists as a constant reminder that the European nations owe you, the Moors, with compound interest. Islam? Extending honors to the noble Sheik staff and noble Vanguard staff who keep the peace, and giving honors to you, the Ills and Bays, for without you, there is no Moorish movement. Islam, Moors? How's everyone on the holy night? Praise Allah, praise Allah. Moors, I'd like to introduce something, you know, because I never, when I see new faces, I never like to take for granted that, you know, people know about the Moors, you know, who the Moors are, what the history of the Moors are, what is our connection to the Moors. I like to lay a little groundwork. I like to draw from an article authored by the Prophet Noble Drew Ali in 1928, an article entitled The Moorish Costumes Ball. And this was actually written in our newspaper, the Moorish Guide newspaper, which during the time of the Prophet came out every Friday. All right, and that paper was, you know, all of our national movements, all of our planning, all of our, you know, our unity work that we were doing in the communities, so on and so forth. So in this article entitled Moorish Costumes Ball, our Prophet instructs us, he says, so enthusiastic was the reception of the costumes worn by the Moorish Americans during their parade that the members of the Moorish Science Temple of America have decided to, at different times, have what they will call a Moroccan costume ball. This affair will be had shortly after the holidays, about New Year's Eve. The Prophet consented that this could be for the entertainment of the members. Other groups of people in the city have been using the dress of our forefathers and imitating them, all but the olive hue, which they cannot get. During the Moorish convention, more than 1,500 Moroccan costumes were rented to Europeans who had seen the program and knew the Moors were to have a costume parade. But nevertheless, we were successful in obtaining through certain Asiatic costume dealers all of the costumes we wanted. The Moorish costume ball will be among the first of such given, where an idea is put forth that has to do with the origin of millions of people in this country who can trace their ancestors back to the illustrious founders of civilization. It will remind the descendants of these people of the time when their forefathers were the main people to spread the most progressive ideas of civilization. In fact, they saved civilization many times. When more barbaric tribes from the north were ravishing all the countries they were permitted to enter. It was the forefathers of the Moorish Americans and their near kin that saved the historic records that were threatened during the days when the burning of libraries was a fad for despotic soldiers. The costume ball will be much looked for and appreciated by the Prophet. Now, what the Prophet is explaining, how many people here have heard of a group called the Shriners? Okay, you've heard of the Shriners, right? The European Shriners specifically, or more specifically stated as the ancient Arabic orders of the nobles of the mystic shrine, okay? How do they dress when they're out in public collecting donations? What do they wear? Anyone? Islam, brother. The fez. What's specific about their fez? What do you notice about their fez?
Tassels in one place and they have a sword on it.
Okay. Tassels sewn on one side, representing 33 degrees. And then they have like embezzlement, not embezzlement. What am I saying? What am I trying to say?
Bejeweled?
Embellishment. That's the word I'm looking for. Yes, bejeweled, definitely, right? And it's bedazzled. That's the more specific word I'm looking for. But on there they have names of various different Arabic or Egyptian temples. In other words, on there it might say Muslim, right? It might say Bey, B-E-Y. It might say El, E-L. It might say Medina. It might say Cairo. None of these are places in Europe, okay? The headdress that they wear, called Fez, is a city in Morocco. Morocco being a city in Northwest Africa, all right? So why are these Europeans naming themselves or naming their temples, all right, after Arabic and Egyptian origins. Can anyone tell me why they would do that? Brother Kareem.
You probably go back to the 800 years that the Moors ruled Spain and civilized them.
Yeah. What specifically, in terms of civilizing them, did we do? What did we offer Europe?
First hygiene.
What about hygiene? What did we give them?
We gave them alcohol and soap.
And soap. Soap was the key. They didn't have soap. Anyone here imagine bathing without soap? Right. Might as well not even bathe. Right? Continue. Anything else?
All right. Then you had, for the education goals, they brought back, well, they were mostly illiterate. So they brought back the education of learning. And they set up the first school over there,
Salamanca.
That was the first university to actually be in Spain. It was the second university for Europeans, but the first one to actually be inside Europe.
Absolutely, right? And then, the older of the two being in Morocco, being in Africa, Northern Africa, University of Al-Azhar in Egypt, and the University of Qarawiyyin in Morocco, which is also called the University of Fez, of which the Fez headdress was a part of the uniform for the students who attended said university, right? But the Prophet Noble Drought, yes, sister. You have something for me? Oh. How you just got a picture of a European Shriner just ready to go? These sisters ain't playing, I'm trying to tell y'all. So this is exactly what we're talking about, right? The emblem on there, can anybody, explain to me the elements that are on that emblem that is on the Fez? Brother Jalil?
So you have the sword, and you have the crescent and star. The crescent is facing, the star is pointing down.
Absolutely. The star, or the star, period, that crescent actually represents the womb of the woman, right? It being inverted shows that it's being used or presented for a terrestrial purpose or a carnal purpose. You have the 5-pointed star. The same 5-pointed star that's on this flag, with the exception that, this one right here, the star is hollow and the star here is solid, demonstrating secrecy, right? The sword that's on the top of it is called a scimitar. It's a curved sword, right? Curves like this. That curving of the sword represents reciprocity. What you send out is what you get back, all right? So on and so forth. Thank you very much, sister, all right? But when our people look at that headdress, do they see it as something that belongs to them, right? And you'd have to ask, why would Europeans spend millions and millions of dollars? Anybody seen the Fox Theater downtown, right? Tell me something about the architecture of the Fox Theater. What do you say?
It's a mosque.
It's a mosque. Now these aren't, aside from what the Moors built in Europe, a mosque is not a European design. It's very African in design, very Moorish in design. Or the Yarab shrine on Ponce de Leon. Anyone seen that?
Yeah. Oh, yes.
Across from, what's that, the Taco Bell? It's a Taco Bell. It's a little further, Taco Bell's a little further down in the corner. But, you look at the front of it, there's a brother looks just like Brother Raphael. Only thing is a European, and he's holding a child. He has a Fez on statue. And, it has the name, it says Yarab on it. Yarab in Arabic means, sustainer, right? So here we have a group of Europeans mimicking your culture, right? When you look at these edifices, they're phenomenal. They spend millions of dollars building this stuff, but why? You understand? So the whole thing is, the secret that they spend, a lot of money to get to that 33rd, the true secret is that you're the secret, right? Your nationality and birthright is the secret. They spend a lot of money as well, keeping you under the guise of Negro, black, and colored, under slave principles. Islam wars? All right? I'd like to draw from something, in your Holy Quran, the Moorish Science Temple of America, those that have them, chapter 43, which is entitled The Insufficiency of Knowledge. In the Bible it says that our people perish from a lack of knowledge. All right? Well, let's get into that knowledge and see what it talks about. Okay. Chapter 43. Let me hear Islam when you're there.
Islam.
Praise Allah. Praise Allah. And it was our intention to get through this chapter 43 at Sunday school, but man, that questionnaire have us all up in the universe. We didn't have a chance to get to it Sunday. So let's deal with it now. Chapter 43. And again, that's chapter XLIII. Okay? Instruction 1, which says, if there is anything lovely, if there is anything desirable, if there is anything within the reach of man that is worthy of praise, is it not knowledge? And yet who is it that attaineth it? The statesman proclaim that he has it. The ruler of the people claimeth the praise of it, but findeth the subject that he possesses it. Evil is not requisite to man, neither can vice be necessary to be tolerated. Yet how many evils are permitted by the connivance of the laws? How many crimes committed by the decree of the council? Let me pause there. You know, the Prophet Noble Drew Ali, in founding of the Moorish Science Temple of America, generated a system and returned to us whereby we could govern ourselves. Okay, without knowing the principles of governance, you would bring corruption into it. All right, because of partiality. All right, but as you see, it says. Yet how many evils are permitted by the connivance of the laws? How many crimes committed by the decree of the council? Moving forward, instruction 4. Be wise, O ruler, and learn, O thou that are to command the nations. One crime authorized by thee is worse than the escape of 10 from punishment. When the people are numerous, when thy sons increase about thy table, sendest thou them not out to slay the innocent, and to fall before the sword of him whom they have not offended. If the objects of thy desire demanding the lives of 1,000, sayest thou not, I will have it. Surely thou forgettest that he who created thee, created also these, and that their blood is as rich as thine. Sayest thou that justice cannot be executed without wrong? Surely thine own words condemn thee. Those who flattereth with hopes the criminal that he may confess his guilt, art not thou unto him a criminal? Or art thou guiltless because he cannot punish it? In the book entitled The Prince by Niccolo Machiavelli, he gives a degree on the flatterer and how dangerous the flatterers are to government, because there are those that would, tell you sweet sounding words to build your ego up to win favor, right? But we're instructed to not be swayed by the flatterer. Islam? All right. Moving forward, it says, when thou commandest to torture him who is but suspected of ill, dare thou to remember that thou mayest rack the innocent. Is thy purpose answered by the event? Is thy soul satisfied with his confession? Pain will enforce him to say what is not as easy as what is, and anguish hath caused innocence to accuse herself. That thou mayest not kill him without cause, thou doth worse than kill him. That thou mayest prove if he be guilty, thou destroyest him innocent. O blindness to all truth, O insufficiency of the wisdom of the wise. No, when thy judge shall bid thee account for this, thou shalt wish 10,000 guilty to have gone free, rather than one innocent to stand forth against thee. Insufficient as thou art to the maintenance of justice, how shalt thou arrive at the knowledge of truth? How shalt thou ascend to the footstep of her throne? Notice the prophet is, classifying truth under the gender of she. Islam was? If you go back to ancient Egypt, who was the deity of harmony? Ma'at. Islam, which they call today Lady Justice, but they take her and put a blindfold on her so she can't see what she's doing. All right, but it always goes back to the she. All right, it says in instruction 14, as the owl is blinded by the radiance of the sun, so shall the brightness of her countenance dazzle thee in thy approaches. If thou wouldst mount onto her throne, first bow thyself at her footstool. If thou would arrive at the knowledge of her, first inform thyself of thine own ignorance. More worth is she than pearls, therefore seek her carefully. The emerald and the sapphire and the ruby are as dirt beneath her feet. Therefore pursue her manfully. The way to her is labor. Attention is the pilot that must conduct thee into her port. But weary not on the way, for when thou art arrived at her, the toil shall be to thee for pleasure. Say not unto thyself, behold, truth breedeth hatred, and I will avoid it. Dissimulation raiseth friends, and I will follow it. Are not the friends made by truth better than the friends obtained by flattery? Quick question, how many of our people prefer ignorance because of the backlash they're afraid to receive from friends and family? All right? The prophet says, behold, truth breedeth hatred, and I will avoid it. Say not to yourself that truth breedeth hatred, and I will avoid it. Dissimulation raiseth friends, and I will follow it. Are not the enemies made by truth better than the friends obtained by flattery? If you have to stand by yourself in truth, it's better if you lived a life of a lie, have a group of people around you. Islam wars? Does that make sense? All right? But we've grown accustomed to living the lie, right? Why when we hear, when we know better, when nationality is the order of the day, when classifying ourselves as certain things, puts us in a certain position to be treated a certain way. We know that, but a lot of times, instead of dealing with that with our people, we'll dumb the conversation down in order to get along, right? That is not how change occurs. Change occurs by being bold enough to stand up and speak the truth, even if your people turn enemy to you, but you stood up for truth. How many of us in this room are built for that? And if you're not built for that, take the time and search within yourself, because at the end of the day, it's about knowing yourself, knowing the weak points of your nature and strengthening them, okay? Moving forward, instruction 19, it says, naturally doth man desire the truth, yet when it is before him, he will not apprehend it, and if it force itself upon him, he is not offended at it. The fault is not in truth, for that is amiable, but the weakness of man beareth not its splendor. All right? It says the fault is not in truth, for that is amiable. Amiable is just like the word amicable, meaning friendly. Truth is your friend, right? But the weakness of man beareth not its splendor. A few more instructions so as to not burden the Moors. Wouldst thou see thine insufficiency more plainly? View at thy devotions. To what end was religion instituted, but to teach thee thine infirmities, to remind thee of thy weakness, and to show thee that from heaven alone art thou to hope for good? Doth it not remind thee that thou art dust? Doth it not tell thee that thou art ashes? And behold, repentance, is it not frailty? And that instruction 22 is talking about your physical form, your physical self. We're instructed by the prophet that man is not the body nor the soul. He is a spirit and part of Allah. We align our energies with our body, right? We'll say, I'm hungry. No, you're not. That's an illusion, right? I'm unhappy. No, you're not. That's an illusion, right? I'm angry. No, you're not. That's an illusion. Right. External stimuli triggered something in your brain, which released a hormone that made your body react and make you think that you was angry, right? But all that is that's a biochemical that's something biochemical happening, right? That doesn't mean that's who you are, any more that you are the process of your engine in your car. Even though you're in it, navigating it, you're not the process of the combustible engine. Islam wars? All right? Moving forward, it says, 23, when thou givest an oath, when thou swearest, thou wilt not deceive, behold, it spreadeth shame upon thy face, and upon the face of him that receiveth it. Learn to be just, and repentance may be forgotten. Learn to be honest, and oaths are unnecessary. The picture of the European with the fez on, the Shriner, he took plenty of oaths, right? What's the prophet tell us about it? When you give us an oath, when thou swearest thou wilt not deceive, behold, it spreads shame upon thy face, and upon the face of him that receiveth it. Islam, the whole process of taking an oath is carnal, right? Process of taking a vow is a different energy. The vow, what is a vow? How's a vow, the word vow, defined? Anybody know? The word vow is defined as a solemn pledge. It's something taken before Allah, Islam, or the creator, or whatever name you want to utilize for the great God of the universe, right? 24, the shorter follies are, the better. Say not therefore to thyself, I will not play the fool by the halves. He that heareth his own faults with patience shall reprove another with boldness. He that giveth a denial with reason shall suffer a repulse with moderation. If thou art suspected, answer with freedom. Who should suspicion affright except the guilty? Islam wars? So we instruct ones to live the life accordingly, right? See, as the chairman, as our brother Sheik Rashid Ibn Halim Bey, long day, pardon stuff, demonstrated, right, that when you start dealing with, the thought escaped me. It was something massive, but relative to your taking of the oaths and living the life accordingly. That's what I'm saying. Relative to living the life accordingly, you must walk the path. You must change. That's the point he made. You must change. If you don't seek to change and you proclaim to be a part of this movement, like the prophet said, you won't be able to tear it up, but it will tear you up. Islam wars? There are a lot of ones that, let me ask this. Of the Moorish Americans that are present, they proclaim their nationality. How many of you, since you proclaim your nationality, have been in and out of jail? just for the camera, not a one raised their hand. Why that is because, there's a certain amount of virtuous instructions that we're put under, and we've sought to mold our lifestyle to match those instructions. Islam? The word profane, what does the word profane mean?
Outside the temple.
Right, from the Latin word profanus, which means outside the temple, right? Hence the usage of profanity, if someone's taking on the ways of the world. Somebody's constantly just, vulgar speech, right? But the reality of it is that when you change, your ways or what was put on you, all right, to match, the divine aspects of who your forefathers are, the world can begin to look and say, that person's not just calling themselves a Moor. Right. Those are the Moors, right? And until you do such thing, these ones that are running around here calling themselves things in the spirit of usurping your own nationality, right? Like there are ones that call themselves Jews, right? Jesus says, I know the blasphemy of those that say they are Jews but are not, but are the synagogue of Satan. That's Jesus, Revelation 2:9, right? There are ones that call themselves Arabs, right? But if you look at the original Arabians, they look like you in this room. I've been to Mecca, I've been to Jeddah, I've been to Medina and Saudi Arabia. And when you walk those neighborhoods, you see us, okay? They just happen to speak Arabic. Islam, all right? And just like us, we come in a variation of hues, right? So not all of us are Brother Lante's complexion, right? So we come light, we come dark, some of us so light you have to ask, are we European or Asiatic, right? But nevertheless, we have that variation amongst us, right? So you'll have ones from the Muammar Gaddafi stock, all the way down to someone that looked like Brother Khalid Muhammad. Islam? All right? And all of them will refer to themselves as Arabs. The Sudanese who are in northern Sudan refer to themselves as Arabs, right? Because they are part of the original stock that were there before the amalgamations took place. Islam? All right? So we don't play the colorism, right? You cannot tell who a person is by their hue, right? Stop doing that. Right, that's something that was taught to us. Brother J.A. Rogers, everybody familiar with him? Right, J.A. Rogers authored a book called, several books. One, Sex and Race, volumes 1 through 3. And he authored one called Nature Knows No Color Line. Right, that's a powerful thing because anybody familiar with Charlotte, North Carolina? Who is Charlotte, North Carolina named after? Queen Charlotte Sophia, who was an amalgamated, she was mixed, very light but with woolly hair. Right, even in Buckingham Palace to this day, they have her portrait on the wall, right? Which is why it was the big thing when Meghan Markle married, I think it was Prince William, whoever it is. Their queen says, well, this is not, a new thing that's happened because back in the 1600s, this happened before, and she showed her the picture of Charlotte Sophia on the wall, right? So she knows that in the original ancestry of even that which is called England, it goes back to the Moors. Islam Moors? All right, moving forward, back to the Quran. Last instruction, the tender of heart is turned from his purpose by supplications. The proud is rendered more obstinate by entreaty. The sense of thine insufficience commandeth thee to hear. But to be just, thou must hear without thy passions. Islam? And that last instruction is key to the Negro problem, right? Because we as a people are too emotional. Keep your emotional body because that's part of what makes you you. Like Jesus says, what good is a salt if it loses its savor? However, when you get into, the essence of, what it's going to take for you to free yourself, you got to tap into reason, right? You have to be able to, deal with logic, all right? Deal with things that make sense. Islam Moors? All right? I would like to open the floor for any questions at this point before I move on, all right? Does anyone have any questions about who the Moors are, who Noble Drew Ali is, what the Moorish Science Temple of America is, or what our purpose is? The floor is open. You see, I'm doing this for a specific reason because I know after the meeting ends, I usually get trapped in the corner over there with a million questions. So I'm trying to put it out there now so we can leave at a decent time. Trying not to keep y'all out all night. Sister, yes.
What is your purpose?
What is our purpose? Can I read something from our literature to deal directly with that? Then expound on it? Okay. Let me draw from a pamphlet known as Moorish Literature. It's from an article known as Moorish Leaders' Historical Message to America. It says, in connection with the aims, objects, rules, and regulations of the Moorish Science Temple of America, I deem it proper to submit to you a brief statement of our organization covering its inception, rise, and progress, and of the Mohammedan religion, which I hope will be satisfactory to you and be the means of causing you at all times to adhere to the principles of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice in your relations with mankind in general. I further most anxiously hope this brief statement will help you to more clearly see the duty and wisdom of at all times upholding those fundamental principles which are desired for our civilization of our posterity, such as obedience to law, respect, loyalty to government, tolerance, and unity. We organized as the Moorish Temple of Science in the year 1925 and were legally incorporated as a civic organization under the laws of the Secretary of State of Illinois, November 29th, 1926. The name Moorish Temple of Science was changed to Moorish Science Temple of America, May 1928, in accordance with the legal requirements of the Secretary of State of Illinois. The object of our organization is to help in the great program of uplifting fallen humanity and teach those things necessary to make our members better citizens. It can be enshrined, our purpose can be enshrined in those two things. Uplifting fallen humanity and teaching those things necessary to make our people better citizens. Why do we say fallen humanity? Because if we look at the condition of our people, clearly they're in the condition that they're in because they know not who they are, okay? The other aspect of teaching those things necessary to make our people better citizens, we don't know the structure of which this government is built on, right? Like if, for example, like, our people, we're here in this country, right? We have the benefits of citizenship to a degree, right? But how many of us really actually have read this, right? Now, if I looked at a Constitution of the United States, if I actually was talking to, which I have, a naturalized Mexican who's now, a naturalized American, who went through the process to become an American citizen, and I asked him certain things about this government, he could tell me, but he's not from here, right? To be qualified as a citizen, you have to know certain things about this government, right? It's actually foolish for us, extremely foolish for us, to not know what that Constitution is, because this did not start with some Europeans. This does not start with some Caucasians. We give the reference all the time. If you look up the Iroquois Confederation of Native Americans, it was 6 nations, they call them tribes. But it was 6 nations that got together and they got tired of all the war amongst themselves before the Europeans got here. Got tired of all the war amongst themselves. They got together and said, you know what, let's sit down and put together a constitution, right? The constitution that they put together was called the Law of the Great Peace, right? It starts off, we the people of these United States. It had nothing to do with this. In fact, the Europeans that came over here, specifically one named William Penn, of whom Pennsylvania is named after, was actually, taught by them and instructed in constitutional law in terms of, operating a republic. All right. The floor is up. What is a republic?
Republic is
What mode of government should I say?
governed by
Representative.
Say again.
Is a representative government
Representative government. But let's go more into that. So, what is representative government?
of the people.
Of the people, by the people, right? But so in other words, the people, because there's 300 million Americans, right? All of them can't meet in DC on the floor to talk about legislation. So we'll elect certain representatives to represent the will of the people in government. But there's all the laws that they enact are supposed to be on behalf of the will of the people, right? But how many of us know, how many people know what district they live in? Okay. How many people know the name of the council person of that district? Okay. How many people have been to a city council meeting where you've spoken with that official, or spoken referencing the fact that you are a citizen in district, let's say here it's 12, right? Speaking to Joyce Shepard, who is over District 12, and these are our concerns, Ms. Shepard, and most august council about what's going on in District 12. How many of us do that? How many of our people really do that? The people that really do that get what they want out of government. We don't, right? Because we have a vestige of something that was, left over from slavery, and it's a mentality that is largely disenfranchised. What does that word mean? When you're disenfranchised, you feel like you're not what?
Not a part of the fight.
Not a part of the system. You see what I'm saying? Now, how can you not be a part of the system and your forefathers were the ones to put together the document that created the system? Islam? So, that aspect of teaching our members those things necessary to make us better citizens, key to that is firstly teaching them that you're a citizen. And a citizen is a member, Like my arm is a citizen of my body, right? Each individual citizen is a member of a larger political process, right? Now, I use an example all the time. We all put gas in our cars. Embedded in that gas is a tax. Every time you pump gas, it's a tax. They don't add it at the register. It's already added into the price. You see $2.59 per gallon. It's already in there, right? So your tax dollars are, you're giving up your tax dollars, but are you following your tax dollars to see how they're spent?
Right.
How many people here would go to Kroger or Walmart and get a cart full of groceries and put them on the conveyor belt, let them ring them up, pay for it, and then walk out without taking the groceries?
Right.
Anyone? But that's what you do when you pay your taxes and you don't get any services back from that.
Right.
The services are already paid for. The holes that are in your roads, they're already paid for, but you haven't formed together as a body politic to go down there and get on your council person about those funds being allocated. Right? We sent Brother Sheik down to the city council. It was like Mo, you remember what day that was you went down there?
It was early this year. I would say between March and April.
But like specific day of the week?
It was on a Tuesday.
Tuesday. Okay. Around what time? You remember you went?
Between 1 and 5.
Those are the hours that most people are at work. Right? How many dollars would you say were shifted in that meeting?
Close to over $1 million.
Close to over $1 million. Allocated to different purposes during hours where people are at work. Right? So nobody's there to see, because most people can't afford to take off the beat to sit in a meeting like that, to find out where their dollars are going, right? But this is why we have to set people aside to go and represent us in that regard. Islam Morris? Does that make any sense? This is Atlanta, and I'm going to use a particular demographic, not out of being radical or agitating, but this is just facts. The group that classifies itself are organized around the acronyms of LGBTQ, right? How much political power would you say they wield here in Atlanta?
They have a strong.
Do they wield more political power than our people, let's say?
Yes, sir.
Can they get what they want?
Yes, sir.
How do they get what they want? They're organized. They form the same, what the Prophet Noble Drew Ali told us to do in 1928 is the same thing they're doing now, with the exception of leaving the divine creed off. But as far as organizing as a body politic, that's what they do. Anybody took a ride through Midtown lately?
Yes, sir.
I mean, I'm just being real. I'm a strategist. I like looking at strategies. I can put my emotions to the side. Have you looked at the strategy? Have you seen that the prime real estate that they have with their banner, right, that they agree on, right? Because when the rainbow flag is flown, they all collectively agree and say, that is our banner. Some will say flag, but it's a difference between a flag and a banner, all right? But they can agree on that. So there's a form of unity, right? So what does it take to get people nationwide to agree on a banner? What's the level of organization? That's up here. Would you agree? And it's not even just nationally, it's internationally. You can go to Germany and find that same rainbow banner and people organizing around that, right? You can go to France and see the same thing. So you mean to tell me there's a global organization of a people around an orientation, right? But we can't seem to do it based on our ethnicity of who we are culturally as a people. Why?
Interesting.
Propaganda, good. What else?
Interesting.
Why?
Because no one cares.
Why?
It's not fun.
Why? I mean, I'll use me. It's fun. I love coming to the temple. I love doing this, but I didn't always. You see what I'm saying? Like I didn't always, when I was younger, I picked up the interest in reading somewhere around 14, 15, and it's only when I started reading things about myself, where I started to actually see myself in history, right? As opposed to when they started, my grades were good, going through middle school, but when they started, with the social studies and showing my people in chains and all that type of stuff, I checked out. Didn't even realize I checked out, but I checked out because I was like, that's the only way you're gonna show me, right? But then I got exposed to a different body of knowledge and started, teaching about the pyramids and you created mathematics and this and that, whatever. Us? Why? I'm gonna go to school every day, but I never learned that, right? So when you wake up in a person, and not everybody is a scholar, I get it, but when you wake up in a person, the knowledge of who they are, especially children, right? Because it gives them a sense of self-worth. So when the world tells them that your nose is too big, right? It tells them that your hair is nappy, that your lips are too big, right? They have a set of working things within their mind that they can fight that back, right? And if people of like minds that think like that come together and build a community, even though you teach it in your house, right? It's a beautiful thing. But when they step out and they got to go to public school, or nowadays they got the phones and stuff. They're up on way more information than we were at that age, right? Which is also exposing them to a level of barbarity and propaganda that we didn't even have,
Yes, sir.
right? So you're starting to notice even now that the suicide rates in children has spiked, right? Because they don't have the ideal body type. You know what I'm saying? But they've fallen for, so this, what is our purpose? Our purpose is to awaken that in our people that will make them love themselves, to be themselves and no one else. The first two things you learn in the Moorish Science Temple of America is learn to love instead of hate and be yourself and no one else. Everything that we learn is between that. All right? And to go forth it's not good for us to just be in these temples or at home or whatever we do, but we have to, in our communities, build out a community where we create a new normal, right? If you go to Crown Heights in Brooklyn, in New York, you see certain area where for blocks and blocks and blocks and blocks, you don't see nothing but Hasidic Jews that wear all black and the yarmulkes or the Abraham Lincoln looking hats with the earlocks and stuff. That's all you see for blocks. So they've made that look, which would appear weird to the average person. When you in that area, that's their normal.
I bear witness.
I still know you saw it more? I know you're in Brooklyn all the time.
All the time.
I'm from Jersey, so I just cut over to New York and see, I'm like, yo, this is, I was just in Jersey not too long ago, and the area of Jersey I'm from is run by Italians, period. You know what I mean? Like even the police department, fire department, it's all Italian. So you try to get in there, like you're not getting in there, because they have organizations just like this. They have something known as the Sons of Italy. What's the purpose of the Sons of Italy, right? To teach people Italian ethnicity and heritage, to preserve it, and teach them things necessary to make them better Americans. The Italians are doing the same thing. The Jews have their synagogues. What does the African American have? That's going to teach him his ethnicity, right? As well as teach him how to function within under this document here, the Constitution of the United States. What does the African American have? Because if he has something, right, I would want to visit it and see it, right? If we had something and it was working, we would not be in the condition that we're in. Our communities would not look like they look. Islam Morris?
Yes,
All right. Do we have any other questions? All right. If not, I'd like to draw from something else, from my prophet. Y'all all right? You okay, sister? Okay, Islam. This section is called Demanding Ours. The prophet instructs us, he says, the idea inculcated in the purposes, again, back to purpose, what is our purpose, right? Inculcated in the purpose of the Moorish Science Temple of America is to have everything that belongs to us as a nation that's become a part of another nation, just the same as all other European groups are doing. We must have the history of our forefathers taught to our children. We have ceased to calculate our history from the landing of the first 20 or the close of the Civil War. And that's important now, with it being 2019, because I don't know how many times I've heard, this is 400 years, this is 400 years, 1619, all that type of stuff, right? Not realizing before those first 20, as they put it in history, 20 some odd Africans, that's literally what it says in the history. Before they landed here, it was millions of us already here.
Yes, sir.
In the millions. Islam Wars?
Islam.
All right? So to start our existence from that, some manufactured date to fit the narrative or propaganda of the European is foolish on our part, right? And we also give up, a lot of our birthrights by doing such. Moving forward, it says, and then also to the close of the Civil War, because, the names Negro, black, color, all that was Civil War era going into Jim Crow and all of that. It says, while all of the records of the tombs in the old world are proclaiming our glory to the nations, we have come now demanding that we be given the credit for the great work done in the past by our ancestors. We are not asking others to give these records to the world for us, but we demand that such records be broadcasted to the four winds by us and for us. A pride that goes with the knowledge of great deeds will serve to cause our posterity to take heart and look into the vast future with a hope eternal. Such can never be done except they be taught who they are and where they are from. Yes, and we are demanding that these things be done, and we know that it will require some time before we have created that consciousness in others of our group to assert themselves likewise, but that day is coming when such will be the case, right? And this was in the 20s, right? And since that was written, and since we are organized around that time, numerous organizations have arisen that you are all very familiar with now, Nation of Islam, etc., that have taken on a version of that, all right? But for us to allow, to put off to another generation. I have grandchildren now. To look at my grandchildren and put off on another generation, oh well, they'll be all right. Or here's the thing, the cop out that I hear most people say, well, as long as I keep my children straight, as long as I do right by mine, I'm good. But you gonna keep them in the house for the rest of their lives? You got to send them out there. Literally 2 days ago, right across the street, a brother was murdered in the store right there. 2 days ago, right in the store next to the wings and seafood place. You know what I'm saying? Over what? They were playing the little lottery game they have in there, the like slot machine looking thing. And they got to arguing over a game, and the brother shot another brother over a game. You see? See, when you have a nationality, you have a standard that you operate from, right? When I look at another brother, I see me. So I wouldn't want any harm to come to you, I wouldn't want to come to myself. That's what nationality is. When the Moore said quality and character that arises from the fact of a person belonging to a nation or state. The first thing, two things being quality and character, right? In our conversations, if you listen to the things we talk about, we don't use the words integrity and honor and nobility. And if we don't use the words, the principles that they represent are not present in our lives, okay? So for us to play the blame game as the European or idol god called the white man and all this type of stuff, it's everybody's fault except our own for taking responsibility for our condition to make a change. Putting our own egos aside and putting something that, some funds, time, effort, and everything together to build a better and brighter world for generations to come. Prophet Noble Drew Ali said, I come for the young and the yet unborn, right? So really, technically, it's not about you. It's okay if you get a chance to benefit, but this movement is not about you. It's for setting up the foundation and extending it for ones that haven't even arrived yet. So when they come, they incarnate with inheritance. How many people in here had an inheritance when they turned 18? Anybody? When you turned 18, you had like $250,000 handed to you? Anybody? Some houses, some land? Anybody? You did, sister? Brother, say again? Land? Praise Allah. Some of us did, right? Most of us didn't. Right? Most of us, when you turn 18, you had to play the humble thing and go and, beg a nation. Excuse me, can you give me a job, please, sir? What type of vibe does it put you into? Know that you're a descendant of the founders of civilization and have to fill out an application and ask somebody for a job. Nothing wrong with earning an honest dollar, by the way, right? But that's the source of that depression that comes out of nowhere. That anxiety and all that stuff, whatever, because from a spirit level, you're greater, right? But unless you do great things, that's how you drive yourself crazy. You're not doing who your soul and spirit knows you to be. Right? So now you start feeling sad, right? Now you go to the doctor, he gives you a pill. Then he gives you another pill for the side effect for that pill. He gives you another pill, because now your liver done gave out, because Islam? All right? So this is the purpose of the Moore Science Temple of America. This is why we gather. We gather every Friday, to purify ourselves, to teach each other how to be upright, right? Because there's nowhere in society that's going to teach us that, right? To be like Islam, brother, sit up straight, plant your feet, make eye contact, stand up if you have a statement, rise and make your statement, right? Because, especially in government, we allow others to speak for us, right? Where is your voice? What do you have to say? And are you studied enough to have an intelligent opinion or position on a matter? Or are you solely speaking off how you feel? Because in government, they don't care nothing about how you feel, period. Law don't deal with feelings and emotions. Doesn't deal with it, right? But our people base their lives on it. You see? So until we raise up from that, there will be no change. And we'll put it off on another generation, and there'll be more murder, more molestation, more dishonor for generations to come, our grandbabies. Or we could take the time now and realize we can write the history now, right? And stand up and make a change. How many people in here had ancestors or relatives that were either in the civil rights movement, in the Nation of Islam, Moorish Science Temple of America, Hebrew, Israel, something? Any ancestors? Praise Allah. Powerful. 2 out of the group, right? Wouldn't it be powerful for your grandchildren to look back and be like, well, you know, my grandmother and grandfather, they were part of this thing called this Moorish Science Temple of America. As an example, this Moorish Science Temple of America, and this is the work that they were doing. You know, the men honored the women, you know. Man, he wasn't running the streets and making babies all over the place. He had one wife. And he honored her, and they were married for, how many people had grandparents that were married over 20 years? Over 30 years? Over 40 years? 50 years? Where did that go? Now the divorce rate is what, 70%? 65, 70%? What happened in like 2 generations to us, right? We like to talk all the ancient history. What happened just within 2 generations?
Drugs.
And a bunch of other stuff. But the key to that, if you know who you are and you live by free national standards and principles, somebody could put drugs in the middle of your community and you wouldn't touch it.
That's right.
You go to that. One brother told me, he said, people use drugs because they can't afford vacations. Islam?
Escapism.
Exactly. But when you know who you are, like, I know what my forefathers, I'm not doing. That's crazy. Smoking no crack. I remember like the hip hop I listened to back in the 80s and 90s, you know, was very anti-drug use. But what are our children listening to now?
Molly, codeine.
When did the drug addict become the rapper? You understand? Oh, but we don't need nationality though. We don't need the principles that are attached to that.
Addiction became.
Brother Kareem?
Nah, I was saying when Eminem went platinum.
Mm.
That actually changed.
It definitely did. Because again, we have a tendency of letting other people in our house. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes we gotta say no, y'all. Sometimes y'all gotta say no, this is what we're about, period. Y'all can't bring that over here. In the spirit of that, where my wife take up to? Sister Taifa, can I borrow you for a second? There is a situation happening in the, you know, amongst the Moorish nation, right? Amongst the Moorish nation, one of our brother Grand Sheiks, brother Sheik Heru, our brother Sheik Heru is a phenomenal Grand Sheik, our brother, young brother, right? He's represented the Moors in DC. He's been honored on the floor of the state legislature in Virginia for the work he does in the community, so on and so forth. He's been appointed to the Human Rights Watch Commission in Virginia Beach, all right? He's doing phenomenal work. On his personal Facebook page, right, he made a statement about homosexuality, right? Pursuant to his words, he made something alluding to the fact of homosexuality being a mental disease or disorder, something like that.
Yes, sir.
When I tell you that that same community, the LGBTQ, whatever, ganged up and came after our brother, right? Slandering his name, this and that, making threats on his life, all these type of things, right? What I'm saying is, and the reason why I brought my wife up, you know, because in the Moorish Science Temple of America, the Prophet Noble Drew Ali is very clear in a lot of areas. In the area of family, right? He's very clear of defining marriage as a union between a man and a woman, the product or fruit of which comes sons and daughters. Islam? That's what we stand on. That's who we are, right? And our positions can be very strong at times, right? Not radical or agitating, but just like we demonstrated about truth. You know, say not like, you know, I will not speak the truth because it won't win me friends. It's not about that. If you get in a position where you have to speak the truth, you speak the truth, you deal with the fallout. But the reason why I'm speaking on this now is because under no circumstance are we to ever, as Moorish Americans, allow someone to attack one of our own and we don't come out and defend them. Especially when we know they're living their life accordingly, right? I personally, you know, got with the Sheik staff, you know, who in turn got with the members and cleared it. And what we did was we took up a collection. When the brother was going to DC, we gave a brother a donation because he was taking finance out of his own pocket to go represent our nationality to the floor of the Congress. Islam wars? You know? So my thing is, we have to be closer as a people, right? Because I sat and watched during this week, and our brother was largely defending, his own honor, about this case, when they was calling him all kind of names, all kind of whatever, made him all kind of demons and all this type of stuff, all because he was standing on the principles of his forefathers, right? I'm telling you, Moors, they're coming after your families. You think you're safe, but you're not, right? They're coming after your babies next. They're working on where the babies at. They're sleep or going to sleep. Because they're going to sleep, I won't put the word out there, but there's a word that starts with the letter P as relates to children. Yo, we on the same page? That's the new movement. Not new, because they've been working on that for a while, right? But this is what they're working on now, so they can come after the babies. Okay? So nothing's safe, right? So I don't know about y'all, but if anybody, I'm going on record as saying this, anybody comes after my babies, right, or the babies of this temple, it's going to be a problem.
Yes, sir.
Period. We're not playing that, right? So what I'm saying more is that the whole energy of, like we're going to play it safe and I just be over here that day, because now they're coming in your house. They're coming in your house, Morris, right? It was a day where you could discipline your own children. Pop your kid now and send your child to school with a bark and see what happens. Defects will come to school, take your kid, be like, yeah, we got your baby. You got to come talk to us. That's the era of time that we're in. Islam Wars? So the Moorish Science Temple of America is about family, about building families. All of you, all I see is families. That's all I see right here. I'm able to look and see even those of you who don't have children, right? I'm able to look forward for you and see that's going to be family, it's going to be beautiful. But we have to have something where we protect that, because that construct is under attack. Islam? Right? So as Grand Sheik of Temple number 19 here in Atlanta, I will not stand by and allow my brother Sheik Heru to be attacked by anyone, because our brother's living a life according. Married, children, upstanding community leader. Why should this brother be attacked? And why are none of the Grand Sheiks speaking out on his behalf? So, I want to utilize this to start a chain reaction, so we come to our brother, like the prophet says, stand in his defense as a wall of brass. Right? So we stand before and protect our own. But say something about a Jew and see what happens. Islam, and the LGBTQ community are the new Jews in that respect. Because how they come out now is way 10 times more than what the Jews ever did. Islam? All right? So as Moorish American Muslims, right? Or even if you consider yourself African American, even if you consider yourself black, whatever you consider yourself, because we all family, we're not tripping over names, right? In a colloquial sense, right? But the reality of it is that we have to get our act together, because we are under a serious attack, and they're coming after your very identity, right? That's why identity politics, Moors have always been on that since the 20s, right? And it was key to who we were, to identify ourselves so no one could redefine who we are according to their political agenda. Islam Wars? Islam. Dismissed. Gratitude. All right? So I just had to get that off my chest. We're going to, edit that clip and we're going to circulate it. All right? Because we have to get it out there because again, like as the Moors said with regards to propaganda, we have to demonstrate, we have to put forth our own propaganda. And somebody attacks one of our own, we got to come out. Right? We can't let our people be alone. Right? Although, if you're the one that has to take that stance, the prophet says that you have to be upright, independent, and fearless. He says independent because, you might have to stand on your own. What if nobody comes to your aid? You still got to stand and take the hits if necessary. You see what I'm saying? And like I said, you have to find those things and develop them yourself if you don't have them. Or get with somebody who's been on the path a little longer and maybe could show you little things. A few things here and there. We have brothers, presidents, ex-military. You know what I'm saying? They could probably share some things with you, how to beat out fears and apprehensions and so on and so forth, and conquer you, because it's all a mind game. It's all a mind game. Your brain will lie to you. Oh, I can't do that. I'm tired. I'm sleepy. No, you're not. You got a whole nother aspect and a realm of energy that you can tap into to do whatever you need to do. All right? Are there any questions, comments, concerns, or statements? So just as a quick quiz, how is marriage defined in the Moorish Science Temple of America?
Man and a wife.
Woo!
Man and a wife.
See, that's why we got a quiz. That brother said a woman and a wife.
Man and a wife.
Woman and a wife. Boy, if you say that in the city council meeting, I'm going to take your fez off myself and pop you with the tassel. Pop. But all praise is due to Allah, Moors. Islam, all right? We have to take our place in the affairs of men and women. We have to grow up as a people. Islam, Moors? And with that, I'll lower the meeting. Islam? Islam? Islam. Moorish Science Temple of America, Noble Drew Ali founder, home office, Chicago, Illinois, March 11th, 1929. A warning from the Prophet to be read in every meeting. I hereby inform all members that they must put an end to all radical and agitating speech while on their jobs, homes, or on the public streets. We advocate peace and not destruction. Stop trying out your cards with the Europeans, for it causes confusion. There has been much confusion caused by members trying out their cards. The cards are for your salvation. Failure of obeying my orders will be of severe consequence. We are for love, truth, peace, freedom, and when these principles are violated, justice must then take its course. Any member or group of members that seek to hold malicious feelings towards the temple or the prophet, or to violate the divine covenant of the Moorish movement, will receive their reward from Allah for their unjust deeds. All true Moors must obey the laws laid down to them by their prophet, and if they lose confidence in their prophet, give up your card and button, cease wearing your turban or fez, and return to the state where I, the prophet, found you. For this is a holy and divine movement founded by the prophet, Noble Drew Ali. And if the prophet is not right, the temple is not right. The prophet is sending out a divine plea to all true Moorish Americans that they may do their part in protecting their prophet and the temple. This is an everlasting movement founded by the prophet through the will of Allah to redeem his people from their sinful ways. Peace. Noble Drew Ali. Islam? Islam? Islam. All praise is due to Allah and the highest of honors, to his holy and divine prophet, Prophet Noble Drew Ali. Moors, this is an honorable work that we set forth to do. Not all of our people will be with us. Not all of our people were there in ancient times. Islam? Even if you look at the stories, right, of Jesus and Muhammad and Buddha and Confucius, when they set forth to create the reform in their territories, many of the people slandered them. Many of the people did not stand with them, right? How many people, if you had the chance, would have loved to be with General Tariq as he invaded Spain in 711 AD? Anybody present that would love to have been with that brother? I know I would have, right? Or Hannibal when he rode on them elephants into Italy. Islam? All right? Well, you have a chance to do that now. All it is just taking a stand for your people. It's nothing different, right? And your name will be remembered as one who stood. Islam? The key to ask right now is, how will you be remembered? How will your name be passed down through the ages? All right? And if it's not anything that you're doing that's attached to that will be honorable, right? The work begins from the moment you realize that on. Islam Moors? Islam. All right. Believe we have one who's going to proclaim his nationality tonight. True? Brother Judge? All right. I'm going to burn the clock out real quick. Get my brother's full free national name so we can put that on the card real quick. But key to what we do, pursuant to Act 6 of the Moorish Science Temple of America, Divine Constitution and Bylaws. I'll just read that real quick. Salvation, Allah, unity, the Moorish Science Temple of America, the Divine Constitution and Bylaws. And that'll be a beta goes on that. The Divine Constitution and Bylaws, Act 6. With us, all members must proclaim their nationality. And we are teaching our people their nationality and their divine creed, that they may know that they are a part and a partial of this said government, and know that they are not Negroes, colored folks, black people, or Ethiopians, because these names were given to slaves by slaveholders in 1779 and lasted until 1865 during the time of slavery. But this is a new era of time now, and all men must now proclaim their free national name to be recognized by the government in which they live and the nations of the earth. This is the reason why Allah, the great God of the universe, ordained Noble Drew Ali, the prophet, to redeem his people from their sinful ways. The Moorish Americans are the descendants of the ancient Moabites, whom inhabited the northwestern and the southwestern shores of Africa. What is the prophet saying? He's breaking down the fact to us that we referenced earlier naturalized citizens. Right? For them, a qualifying factor for them to be a naturalized citizen is that they must already have a nationality, right? There are no brown people that become naturalized citizens in the United States. There are no yellow people that become naturalized citizens in the United States. You have Chinese, you have Mexicans. Mexico is a nation, China is a nation. Islam, all of these are various different nations with constitutions, laws that govern them, so on and so forth. There are no nations that are governed on this planet Earth that go by colors. If you go to the UN, and you look at when the UN is in session, right? Before each ambassador is a plate. On that plate is the name of the nation, right? So it'll say United States, or it'll say Venezuela, Chile, Russia, Senegal, right? None of it says black land. None of it says brown land. Brother Akil. Islam.
Just a quick question.
Yes.
What would I know in America, the one proclaiming their nationality or possessing their nationality here in America would be Moorish American.
Mm-hmm.
In Mexico, would it be Moorish Mexican?
It could be Moorish Mexican, or it could be Moorish American too, because what is America? Define what America is.
The Western Hemisphere.
Exactly. The whole Western Hemisphere is America.
Yeah.
See what I'm saying? And then, like even, how here it's called the United States of America?
Yeah.
Down there they have the United States of Mexico. That's the full name. Look up the full name of Mexico. It's the United States of Mexico. Mm-hmm. See what I'm saying? Just like we have the United States of Brazil. Brazil is pretty much most of South America. Islam? Thank you, Mobile. All right? So the Prophet is telling us, in order to be recognized by the government in which we live in the nations of the earth, you must have a nationality. All right? So, we've been fulfilling this since 1928. All right? And this is a part of the work that we still continue to this day. The brother that we're going to bring forth is our brother, we call him Brother Judge. If you ever hear him speak, you'll know why. Right? But my wife and I had the honor of, before one proclaims the nationality in the Moorish Science Temple of America, we do like an interview process. And we had the honor of interviewing the brother for about, I want to say 2 hours, would you say? About 2 hours? Hey, brother actually came here and we didn't do it over the phone. We were looking eye to eye. That's how I like to connect to people. I'm from that school where you look the man in his eyes. You know what I'm saying? To see where his spirit was, And over that 2 hours, we went over, why do you want to join the Moorish Science Temple of America? What do you think the purpose of the Moorish Science Temple of America? Back to purpose again. Do you think, what is your expectations? I think we covered that as well. What are your expectations of being a member of the Moorish Science Temple of America? The brother answered not only eloquently, but very sincerely on all points. Islam? All right? He's attended at least 3 Holy Day meetings and at least 3 Sunday school meetings. So he has a basis, a decent basis of what this is and what it's about. All right? So we'd like to call our brother forward. Brother Judge, come forward right here. Stand right here, my brother. Face me. Sister Taifa, can I borrow you again, please? Right there, and just turn towards me. Okay. Maybe one step back. Thank you. Brother Raphael, once you set that, I need you up here more. All right. Islam Morris?
Islam.
Praise Allah. Praise Allah. This is a beautiful time. Right? Back to our divine constitution and bylaws of the Moorish Science Temple of America. I want to charge you with Act 7. Act 7 is what it breaks down what's upon you as a member of the Moorish Science Temple of America. So I'll go through and read this. I'll demonstrate the card. And at the end of reading the card, there'll be 2 lines that you have to raise your right hand and repeat after me. All right? Salvation, Allah, Unity. Moorish Science Temple of America, the Divine Constitution and Bylaws, Act 7. All members must promptly attend their meetings and become a part and a partial of all uplifting acts of the Moorish Science Temple of America. Members must pay their dues and keep in line with all necessities of the Moorish Science Temple of America. Then you are entitled to the name of faithful. Husband, you must support your wife and children. Wife, you must obey your husband, take care of your children, and look after the duties of your household. Sons and daughters must obey father and mother and be industrious and become a part of uplifting a fallen humanity. All Moorish Americans must keep their hearts and minds pure with love and their bodies clean with water. This divine covenant is from your holy prophet, Noble Drew Ali, through the guidance of his Father God Allah. Islam Morris? Islam. Right? You have that card, move back. Hold on. Who? Okay. Thank you. It's the nationality card for the Moorish Science Temple of America. All members of the Moorish Science Temple of America keep this in their possession at all times. The Prophet says, don't flash the card before the Europeans because it causes confusion. The card is for your salvation, right? So what I'll do is I will demonstrate the card, and like I said, I will read it, and at the end we'll go through 2 lines, right? Above you see the star and crescent, we refer to as the hand press of unity. And next you'll see the circle, what we refer to as the circle 7, right? Under the star and crescent, you'll see the word Islam. Islam is just a word meaning peace. Islam represents the harmony of your higher and your lower selves. All right. Islam is what you seek to put forth, and not only within yourself, but with with your community and with mankind in general. All right. Next, you have the hand press of unity. As Moors, we don't shake hands; we press hand. The hand press of Moorish Science Temple of America is as such, and it's just a squeeze. We don't shake, we don't dap, we don't high five. It comes straight from the hip, upright, and we press, and everything is straight. Because the Prophet gives us a degree in our Holy Quran, the Moorish Science Temple of America, relating to the line uniting divinity and matter. So we keep everything straight. Our dealings, our speech, our action, everything is straight, and that's symbolic of our hand press. That hand press is also symbolic of the fact that when your brother is in adversity, you assist him. If your sister's in trouble, you forsake her not. And that's found in our Holy Covenant of the Asiatic nations. Next you have, we refer to as the circle and the seven. The circle is the perfect emblem for man and woman, and the seven is the number representing perfection amongst man and woman. What you'll notice about the circle is broken into 4 quadrants, meaning that it's gated, meaning that your studies of Moorish science can come in through any direction. If you want to study the sciences from the East, you can study that. You want to study Native American history, you can study that. If you want to study the, Kabbalistic history, you can study that, all right? Because all of that is our birthright, all of it. We're not set tripping. All right. So for our brother, who will be henceforth known as Brother Jalil Omawali Bey, says this is your nationality and identification card, part itself. If you stand on your square, please. Open this hand up. We call this dressing. You're going to dress you, Mom. Put your hand over your heart, part itself. Opposite way. All right. Where's the nearest place we can meet Allah?
In the heart.
Islam. Right. This is your nationality and identification card for the Moorish Science Temple of America and birthrights for the Moorish Americans, etc. We honor all the divine prophets, Jesus, Muhammad, Buddha, and Confucius. May the blessings of the God of our Father, Allah, be upon you that carry this card. I do hereby declare that you are a Muslim under divine laws of the Holy Quran of Mecca. Love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Please raise your right hand. Repeat after me. I'm a citizen.
I'm a citizen
of the USA.
of the USA.
Noble Drew Ali,
Noble Drew Ali,
the Prophet.
the Prophet.
Takbir!
Allahu Akbar.
Takbir!
Allahu Akbar.
Takbir!
Allahu Akbar.
Welcome home to the family and nations. Give our brother a round of applause. I love you, brother. Welcome home, Islam, my brother. So at this point, what we'll do is, since you remain standing, we'll ask everyone to please rise they can. Please rise, and we will close the meeting as we open with prayer. Brother Jalil, what you'll do after the meeting, you'll see our sister secretary at the table, and she will get you your application because we need that on file, and she'll let you know everything that's come upon it. We need a passport size photo. She'll give you all of that breakdown, as well as dues, so on and so forth. She'll let you know everything. Okay? And in the tradition of our Moorish forefathers, we open and close our meetings with prayer, and that prayer is in the tradition of our Moorish forefathers. Please hold your feet at a 45-degree angle, standing in your square. Your heels will be touching like this. Raise 5 fingers on your left, 2 fingers on the right, invoking the sacred presence of the 7 Elohim that created everything that ever was, is, or evermore to be. For our visitors, please adopt a position of prayer that is comfortable for you in giving homage to our collective Creator. Please repeat after me. Allah,
Allah,
the Father of the universe,
the Father of the universe,
the Father of love,
Father of love,
truth,
peace,
freedom,
freedom,
and justice.
and justice.
Allah is my protector,
Allah is my protector,
my guide, and my salvation.
and my salvation.
By night, and by day.
And by day.
Through his holy prophet,
Through his holy prophet,
Drew Ali.
Drew Ali.
Amen.
Amen.
Islam, Moors.
Islam.
Praise Allah.